So good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to be here. Very quickly, if we try to recollect what is happening in the waste management sector, all of us have been in this sector for good time. I can recognize quite a few of us here who have been working in this sector for many, many years. I myself personally have been working in this sector in India already for about 20 years. And in these 20 years, we tend to believe that a lot of progress has actually happened. But surprisingly, every day is a new beginning. Every day we are learning something new. And after such a long period, I still think we are at a very nascent stage of trying to figure out what the problem is, forget what the solution is. So we are still way away from where we expect ourselves to be, where the government expects us to be, where the legislation expects us to be. That's exactly the scenario of municipal solid waste. That's exactly the scenario of waste management in the country today. I mean, just before I get into the detailing of why I believe it's like that and why we think there are some good solutions emerging but haven't yet emerged, let me just give you a quick introduction. We at Ramky, we are coming with an experience of managing approximately about 6 million tons of waste every year, about 4.5 million tons of municipal solid waste, little over 1 million tons of hazardous waste, and then about 100,000 tons of medical waste, and then we have different waste including electronic waste, recycling of paper, metal, plastic that constitutes close to about a total of 6 million tons of waste that we are handling. We are handling water, we are handling some clean energy business, and we are trying to work in all of these sectors across the country and in Southeast Asia and Middle East. We predominantly have about 14 industrial hazardous waste facilities, 16 municipal solid waste facilities, 16 medical waste facilities, and 2 electronic waste facilities. That's the broad portfolio of waste management for us. Now, coming specifically to this problem of municipal waste, I think the root of the problem continues to be trying to understand our waste. Even today, if I raise a question in this room, what is the heat value of this waste? I can confidently say we'll hear 25 different answers, none of them will coincide with the other. If we ask what is the quantum of paper in this waste, we're going to get similar response. If we try to find out what's the quantum of plastic in this waste, we're going to get a similar response. It's not that anybody is right, it's not that anybody is wrong. The reality is, it varies. It varies from city to city, it varies from the size of the city, it varies from a village to panchayat to municipality to corporation to the country to the quality of life. It is changing. It's a wide range of materials which are mixed and do not constitute the same composition every time. Within the same 10 tons of waste, if you put 2 different samples, we're sure to find 2 different characteristics within it. And that's the true reality of this waste. And why we are not able to figure out what is the right solution is because of the heterogeneous nature of this material. And this is the root of the problem. And just to recap ourselves and try to see where we stand, let's imagine a situation of a Western world versus India. Let's imagine what happens in US versus India, for example, just to take an example. A fast food lunch. In US, we're probably going to McDonald's or Burger King and trying to eat a burger. What would be left at the end of that lunch? It's a burger wrapped in a paper, which is again wrapped in another paper. There's an aluminum paper and a normal paper. There are 4 paper napkins, 3 or 4 ketchup sachets, a Coke bottle, and a tray on which there is a paper. At the end of eating the burger, what's left is all plastic, paper, and some combination materials, which are mix of paper and plastic. Now, all of these, if you look at, have recycling value, have heat value, have potential to generate some energy or some economic value out of this. A similar situation if we try to imagine in India, whether we are in Maharashtra, whether we are in Andhra Pradesh, whether we are in Telangana or in Delhi, what do we end up? We would probably go to some fast food place. Maybe depending on where we are, either we eat a misal pav or a vada pav or an idli sambar or a sandwich with ketchup. And at the end of it, what do we leave? We actually don't leave anything. We eat it in a plate, we wash our hands and come out. What is stuck to our hands goes into water, what is stuck to the plate goes into the water. There is no waste left in this plate. As a result of this, we are able to see why a country like US would generate about 1.5 to 2 kgs per head per day, whereas a country like India generates only 0.5 kgs per head per day. And what is constituted in this 0.5? We actually don't generate a lot of paper. And if you look at whole of the world actually throws newspaper out. We don't throw newspaper out. The whole of the world throws plastic out. We don't throw plastic out. All of it that is recyclable is recycled by India. So what actually gets into Indian waste is something where the individual himself cannot create any more value to it. As long as the individual is still able to create value, he is continuing to create value in it. And what he thinks he cannot create value is becoming garbage, and that's the real garbage. And this garbage is getting mixed with what? It's getting mixed with the street sweeping. 50% of the Indian roads are still not paved. As a result of unpaved roads, we get a lot of silt, grit, partly constructed demolition material gets into this and mixed with this dust. And on top of it, comparing to some of the cleaner world, you'll actually notice that there is a lot of dust in the air. This dust in the air also gets absorbed onto the waste. As a result of this, we find a lot of grit in this whole waste material, which is combined into the final waste that is actually reaching to the transfer station or to the dustbin or to the final treatment and disposal site. Now that is where the root of the problem is. This waste is not characterized with recyclables. This waste is not characterized with energy containing materials, and this waste does not have the required heat value, and as a result the solutions that we have seen globally are not necessarily the solutions that we have found it within ourselves. That's why we are trying to figure out what the problem is. To break this problem can be broken into the large cities and the small cities. As I said, the quality of waste, the quantity of waste and the nature of waste changes between cities. So if we take top 6 or 7 cities put together, they generate a fairly large quantity. 25% of the waste is generated by maybe 10% of the population or 5% of the population. The remaining 80% of the waste is generated by about the remaining 75-80% of the population. Now these are the large areas which have a very unique problem. The smaller cities have their own unique problems, and the larger cities have their own unique problems. The larger cities is where we see the problem is getting magnified, because wherever the dustbin or wherever the dump center goes, we are finding that the city is also expanding there, and the dump center has to move out of this place. Again, the city moves out to that place. So if you look at, for example, Hyderabad, where we are sitting today, I have already seen 5 dump centers which have been moved away from the city. The city started off with its first dump center, guess where? Right next to the Golconda Fort. We had a big dump center right abutting the compound wall of Golconda Fort. So their population came, they had to move out of there, and then it moved to Gandhamguda, to Shamshiguda, to Autonagar, now finally to Jawahar Nagar. God knows where else it will go. Because we do not have solutions and we continue to dump, and when people come around them and live for a few years, they cannot accept it anymore. Very fair from the part of people. They cannot accept it because it smells, rodents will come, flies will come, leachate is contaminating the groundwater. So air, water, soil, everything is getting contaminated. As a result of that, they have no choice but to complain, and the complaint will result in shutting this facility. Therefore, a solution is absolutely essential. We need to find the right solution for these large cities more importantly, and then come to the small cities and figure out what exactly has to happen. So looking at the overall unhygienic situation, looking at the overall prospects of this sector, what exactly needs to be done? How do we need to go? What are the real solutions that we are seeing? And if we look at so many cities, so much of advancement, so much of legislation is already in place now for the last 13 years. And all of us can collectively and individually vouch and confirm that no single municipality, no single corporation, no single Nagar Panchayat in this country is legally compliant. All of them are legally non-compliant. All. There is no exception. Not even one city can confidently tell everything is managed scientifically. Either there is a mismanagement in segregation, door-to-door collection, secondary collection, transfer station management, treatment and disposal. Every single component is failing. And every single component in every single municipality is failing, not even meeting close to the regulatory requirements that are expected to be. Now the opportunity is very large. We're talking of a huge capacity. India probably is talking of 200,000 tons per day of municipal solid waste that is generated. Maybe 5,000–6,000 tons of waste get some form of scientific collection transport. Maybe another 7,000–8,000, 10,000 tons of waste is getting some scientific form of treatment and disposal. Which means 95% of the remaining waste is neither getting properly collected nor getting properly treated and disposed. It's getting collected in open collection system, it's getting dumped. And we are talking of cities like Delhi, right in the center, capital of India. We have a huge dump. Right in the capital of Maharashtra, in Mumbai, we see huge dumps everywhere. There are 3 dumps in Maharashtra, in Hyderabad, in Chennai, in Bangalore, in Calcutta. None of our large cities are an exception. Every city is violating the law. And because they have no choice, they don't know what to do. Do we all collectively know what to do? Again, the answer is unfortunately we don't really know what exactly we want to do and how exactly we want to move forward in this regard. So that is the root of the problem. We don't know what the waste is. We don't know what its characteristics are. We really don't know what the solution is. We're all believing that there is a right solution which all of us think we can get to. But probably the solution lies in combination of various things. In a combination of various things. It probably is a combination of composting plus RDF plus gasification plus waste to energy. All of these look like inevitable treatment solutions for the municipal solid waste. Depending on where, which location, what characteristics, whether it's a small town, medium town, big town, the solution will emerge from the characteristics of the waste, from the availability of land, from the requirement of the neighborhood. So towns, villages, medium corporations, where neighborhood has agrarian economy, composting may be a very reasonable solution. Gram panchayats, biogas may be a reasonable solution. Corporations, large corporations where large quantities of waste is there, waste to energy almost looks like the inevitable and the only solution that possibly is there for these large corporations where the quantity of waste is crossing 300–400 tons. So if you look at for whom this solution is ideal, more or less, with some experience of 15–20 years, there is a thought emerging that the smaller waste, which is less than 30, 50, 60 tons per day, they could try either the biogas or the composting as possible solutions, followed by landfilling and leachate. The medium corporations, which are between the 50, 60 to 300 tons, and where there is a possibility of furnaces using RDF, composting plus RDF could be the possible solution, where corporations with greater than 300 tons per day almost looks like waste to energy is the only solution. Therefore, waste to energy is going to be a very, very important part of future for the municipal solid waste in this country. It's going to be an inevitable and a very integral part of how waste in this country is going to be managed. Therefore, all of us have to focus on what this solution as waste to energy is going to offer, whether this is the real solution for the country. Now, just taking history of what happened for waste to energy in this country, the entire experience has been a little sad, little painful, and a lot of money has been lost in this process by a lot of people. We have had some of the first initial experiences coming from Andhra Pradesh. There was a plant in Hyderabad, there was a plant in Vijayawada, there was then a plant in Delhi, then we had another waste to energy plant coming up in Lucknow. Most of these plants, fortunately, unfortunately, didn't turn out to give good experiences to the country, either to the shareholders or to the lenders or to the regulators or to the service providers. Nobody actually found happy solution in any of these. Subsequent to that, the experience again hasn't been great. There have been quite a few plants that have been tried in Rajahmundry, in Nalgonda, in Karimnagar, and then in Timarpur. This experience has also turned out to be bad. As a result of this, today we are finding a situation, a very peculiar situation, where many financial institutions in this country are finding struggle to finance the projects because there are very few success models. Probably today, with 4 or 5 years of experience of the plant in Delhi operated by Jindal, today there is confidence on technology has emerged to many of us. Many of us now start believing that the technology, maybe the moving grade, the Martin grade technology which has come into waste to energy with the right solution, maybe this probably is giving solution because we have seen that it has moved up in its operating capability from a 50% PLF to over a 80-90% PLF over the last 3-4 years. That has given confidence that there is some stability to this solution. With this, today there are about 4 plants. We are proud to announce that we just commissioned the 24 megawatt India's largest waste to energy plant has been commissioned about a month back. This plant is already operational. We are facing a lot of concerns, a lot of issues, a lot of technological stability issues are there. But yes, it still seems to be the most practical, most realistic, most technically viable solution looks like this plant is going to provide. Now, how much opportunity is coming in this sector? The opportunity that's emerging is very huge. We're probably talking of nothing less than maybe about 1,000 megawatts of waste to energy that could come in this country. And that's a very, very, very large capacity. And this requires a very large quantum of investments. We're talking of investments which will be in the order of 15,000 crores. And that's a large amount of money which individuals and companies will not be by themselves able to fund. We will need to be able to give confidence to the lenders, to the shareholders, to invest the kind of money. It will require about 5,000 crores of equity and 10,000 crores of debt just to handle the waste to energy part. And what is therefore important for the current time being is to demonstrate that it is techno-commercially viable. And I think nothing better than the last 1 year. I think the last 1 year has been one of the best period that I would have noticed that has gone through for waste to energy in the country. Multiple things have happened. 2016 budget where the finance minister specifically made an announcement very clearly indicating that waste to energy is an important solution for waste management in the country and telling all the DISCOMs that the energy generated from waste to energy plants must be purchased. Without any ambiguity, it must be purchased. Subsequent to that, CERC also has come up with a wonderful guidance which clearly indicated that the waste to energy should be purchased by adopting a particular methodology to derive at the pricing, and they have given a guideline by which you can arrive at certain of this pricing. But unfortunately, I think somewhere we will need to raise this back to the CERC. The differentiation between the mass burn pricing and the RDF based pricing, I think will still remain to be ambiguous, and it will leave a lot of questioning on which is right and which is wrong. And therefore, uniform pricing for waste to energy, especially the thermal route waste to energy, I think is almost inevitable, looks very essential, and maybe the forum should take up and recommend back to CERC, back to the government, telling that this anomaly must be removed, and uniform pricing, which probably now looks like the RDF-based pricing recommended, which is close to ₹7.90, may be the right thing. These two anomalies, which is the capital cost of an RDF-based power plant being pegged at 9 crore looks substantially low. The power tariff for the RDF-based power plant, which is 790, looks the right pricing for the mass burn or RDF-based power technology, and this recommendation should somehow be deliberated and considered by the CERC. And once these two also stabilize and the technology stabilizes, I think this plant will certainly see some bright future. So I overall would like to sum up by indicating that waste management in India is still struggling. It's not that waste to energy is the only technology struggling. I must tell you, all other technologies are equally struggling, whether it is biogas, whether it is composting, whether it is RDF, everything has a problem. In biogas, technology has not stabilized. In compost, neither the offtake of compost nor the quantity of rejects are acceptable. Both of them are in an inacceptable stage. In RDF, the heat value of RDF and the offtake of RDF is a serious concern. And in waste to energy, viability and technology stabilization appear to continue to be the problems. But all of these have to be continued, tried, and very quick. We have to bring the right solution to this country. So I continue to believe waste to energy is the real and the right solution for this country. We need to bring it for all municipalities, corporations which generate surely above 500 tons. Possibly even about 300 tons waste to energy will remain to be the right solution. We need to put our efforts in the right direction to make this technology stable and as a right solution for the country. Good luck and thank you all very much.